one thing is very clear. The Indiana Fever is America's team. And boy, the haters, by the time this season is over, their heads are going to have exploded already. They're going to be so angry by the end of this WNBA season. I mean, it's going to be hilarious watching the daily meltdown.
Caitlin Clark isn't just breaking records, she's changing the game. WNBA teams are literally moving out of their own arenas to accommodate the demand she brings. Atlanta, Chicago, Connecticut, Dallas, Las Vegas, and Washington are all shifting venues just to handle the Caitlin Clark effect. And you just know Angel Reese is scrolling through her phone, frustrated that her name isn't up on those billboards. Meanwhile, AJA Wilson is probably back on Twitter, talking about respect. But while everyone else reacts, Clark is securing 41 nationally televised games. That's not just a schedule, it's a full-blown coronation.
Caitlin Clark is going to spend all of next season playing in NBA arenas. We've got rival fans being furious that, Caitlin Clark is, that she's getting new arenas, getting moved to new arenas. You've got people saying that they're pushing the Fever. Why are they pushing the Fever?
Take a moment to let this sink in. WNBA teams are willingly leaving their own arenas just because one player is coming to town. That's unheard of. But here we are, and it's all because of Caitlin Clark. 6 teams are moving their games into NBA-sized venues, meaning every Indiana Fever matchup, home or away, will now take place in arenas with at least 15,000 seats. And this isn't just for show. Clark is a one-woman sellout machine. While most of the league still plays in venues that barely feel bigger than high school gyms, Clark's presence demands NBA floors. That's the kind of impact we're witnessing.
There are 6 WNBA teams that have moved their games to NBA or NBA size arenas.
The Atlanta Dream is moving to the Hawks State Farm Arena. The Chicago Sky, after pushing the Angel Reese hype last season, are now making room for Caitlin Clark with not 1, but 2 games at the United Center. And unless she's facing the Fever, Reese won't be stepping foot in that arena. Even the Las Vegas Aces, AJA Wilson squad, are shifting games to the massive T-Mobile Arena just to handle the Fever pitch surrounding Indiana. This isn't just excitement, it's a seismic shift.
Atlanta Dream moved 1 game to the State Farm Arena. Chicago Sky moved 2 games to the United Center, home of the Bulls, home of the Blackhawks. In Atlanta, by the way, that's the home of the Hawks. Connecticut Sun moved 1 game to TD Garden, home of the NBA Celtics. That's going to look really freaking cool on TV.
What's funny is that just last year, these same teams were acting like Caitlin Clark's arrival was no big deal. We don't need her, they claimed. The league is already thriving, but now? Their actions are speaking way louder than all those shady subtweets. They're not just welcoming her, they're completely reshaping the landscape to make room. This isn't just rolling out the red carpet, they're repaving the whole street.
Dallas Wings have moved 1 game to American Airlines Center, home of the Mavs and the Stars. Las Vegas Aces have moved 1 game to the T-Mobile Arena, home of the NHL's Golden Knights. And the Mystics have 2 games moved to CFG Bank Arena. All right. 6 teams have all moved their home games to ones with larger capacity.
Connecticut deserves a special mention here. They don't even have an NBA arena nearby, but for Caitlin Clark, they're packing up and heading to Boston. That's right, an entirely different city, just to host her at TD Garden. You know you're a game changer when teams start outsourcing their home games to another zip code. Now, imagine if Angel Reese tried to pull the same move. She'd be lucky if they bumped her up to the high school gym next door.
We're now at the stage where Caitlin Clark is probably going to be responsible. I'm not joking when I say this. For games where she plays in are probably going to be responsible for 30% of the attendance in the WNBA.
It's not just Connecticut. Dallas and Washington are hopping on the Caitlin Clark train too, moving their Fever matchups to bigger arenas with more seats and even more dollar signs. This isn't some random trend, it's a full-blown league-wide strategy. When Caitlin comes to town, it's no longer just a basketball game, it's a fundraiser for the opposing team. Some analysts are even calling her the WNBA's walking stimulus package. And honestly, that's not a joke. It's just the truth.
There are teams that are going to average 3,000 fans at games, but have 17,000 fans when Caitlin Clark shows up to town with the Fever.
So, where are all the haters now? The same people who complained about the hype are suddenly real quiet as their arenas sell out and their ratings explode, all thanks to the one player they didn't want to acknowledge. Meanwhile, Angel Reese is probably still fuming that her unrivaled championship didn't get anywhere near this kind of attention. And AJA Wilson? She's busy dropping cryptic tweets while her own team scrambles to find a bigger venue for Clark.
The Phoenix Mercury play in the NBA arena. The Seattle Storm do. There are 13 WNBA teams, 7 already playing NBA arenas. The other 6 are moving their games to NBA arenas versus the Fever.
Before Caitlin Clark, WNBA games averaged around 6,000 fans. But now? She's packing 20,000-seat arenas like it's nothing. That's *** the usual crowd. Fans aren't showing up for a team, they're showing up for ***her. Even Team XX have admitted they'd rather give up home court advantage than miss out on the Caitlin cash grab.
A lot of people say that Caitlin Clark moves the needle. That is wrong. She is the needle. She dictates. We all know what she's done on the floor. It's history, right? But off the floor, my goodness.
Let's do the math. WNBA attendance jumped *48% last year. And who was the driving force behind that surge? Caitlin Clark. Teams aren't just adding her games to the schedule, they're building their entire seasons around her. Vegas didn't just move *1 game, they shifted multiple matchups to T-Mobile Arena just to handle the Clark effect. And the best part? The same Aces squad that acts like she's not a threat keeps booking bigger venues every time she comes to town. Actions speak louder than words.
Now we've got some more information on the games and some perspective. Here we are. Indiana Fever put this out, man, just a few minutes ago. All eyes on us. 41 of our 44 games are on national television.
But if you thought arena upgrades were wild, the TV coverage is even crazier. Caitlin Clark is locked in for 41 nationally televised games this season. 41, that's more national airtime than some entire WNBA teams have had in the last decade combined. ESPN, ABC, CBS, NBA TV, they're all scrambling for a piece of the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. At this point, she's not just a player, she's the biggest show in town.
The most television games in franchise history, the most national television games for a single team in WNBA history. How about that?
Last season, the Indiana Fever weren't just playing games, they were breaking viewership records across the WNBA. Now, they're the crown jewel of broadcast scheduling. A few years ago, this team was barely winning, practically background noise. Now, they're the headliner, and you know that stings for players like AJA Wilson and Angel Reese, who probably thought the spotlight was theirs. Instead, they're watching Caitlin Clark steal the show, dominate the ratings, and take over primetime slots. Clark didn't just boost attendance, she flipped the entire WNBA broadcast model. Her games consistently smashed viewership records, crossing the million-viewer mark like it was nothing now. Networks are scrambling, locked in a bidding war, fighting for Caitlin content like it's Black Friday at Best Buy.
This also just came out. This is the national broadcast schedule right here against the sky. It's an ABC broadcast network television game. New York Liberty, it's a CBS game.
ABC didn't just want Fever games, they specifically demanded the ones against Chicago. Because let's be real, the Clark versus Reese drama is TV gold. CBS locked down the Liberty matchups, while ESPN made sure to grab the Aces showdowns. Why? Because nothing screams must-see TV like Caitlin Clark taking on and taking down the league's so-called super team.
Big rated games. CBS against the Sky. ABC against the Liberty. So you're seeing the teams that move the needles that they're going to play. That should draw some ratings anyway. I'm not going to say these other teams move the needles because they really don't.
While Caitlin Clark continues to dominate headlines and take over the league spotlight, there's a growing frustration bubbling beneath the surface. Games without Clark? They're getting harder and harder to find in prime time. Veteran stars who've spent years grinding, building their legacies, are now watching from the sidelines as Clark takes center stage, again and again, and let's be real, they're not happy. Can you blame them? Imagine putting in years of work, only to see one player land 41 nationally televised games while your own team barely gets a mention on the sports media radar.
We're bringing more and more fans to this league, people that have maybe never watched the WNBA before, and it kind of takes your breath away at points.
The WNBA's original marketing strategy didn't do the veterans any favors either. Last season, they tried to push a variety of players, basically handing out participation ribbons. The idea was to spread the spotlight, keep things balanced, and avoid bruised egos. But fans weren't buying it. They showed up for Clark and skipped everything else. The numbers didn't lie, and the league had no choice but to adjust. Suddenly, it wasn't about balance, it was about giving the audience what they actually wanted, more Caitlyn.
The WNBA needs to do everything they can to promote Caitlin Clark. And I'm not saying do it at the expense of anyone else, but they went into last season basically trying to promote anyone but Caitlin Clark for I don't know what reason.
Now, the WNBA is in a tricky spot. They need Caitlin Clark's games to drive ratings, sell tickets, and keep the league in the national spotlight. But every time she lands another primetime slot, the gap between her and the rest of the league widens. The more they lean on Clark, the more obvious it becomes. She's not just the face of the WNBA, she's the engine keeping it running.
Basically tried to do it to promote anyone but Caitlin Clark. And that made no sense. Because for the long-term growth of the league, you can't just promote one player. But promote Paige, promote Caitlyn, promote rivalry.
Analysts are predicting that at least one of Caitlin Clark's games this season could top 4 million viewers, a number that would put her in the same league as major NBA broadcasts. That kind of viewership has marketing teams salivating, but it also makes one thing crystal clear: Clark isn't just ahead of her so-called rivals. She's in an entirely different stratosphere.
That is literally what they should be doing. You should be promoting every single player in this league, but not. And again, don't promote Caitlin Clark at the expense of the league, but also promote Caitlin Clark. Promote everyone more. Promote Caitlin Clark constantly. Promote all these players constantly. Promote rivalries constantly. Promote these big games constantly.
Speaking of rivals, remember when Angel Reese tried to claim the face of the league title back in her LSU days? Yeah, about that. Those dreams have gone up in smoke. The Clark versus Reese rivalry that the media tried to push? Completely evaporated. Just look at the national TV schedule. Clark isn't sharing the spotlight. She is spotlight. What we're witnessing is the total collapse of the co-star narrative that Reese's fans clung to last season. That storyline disappeared faster than morning dew. The networks made their choice. The fans made their choice.
America's team, yeah, guys, I mean, let's just be honest. This is exactly what they do in the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys. All right, this is exactly what they're going to do, and they do every year with the Dallas Cowboys. Why? Because they draw ratings.
For Angel Reese, this shift in the WNBA spotlight has to sting worse than the bricks she throws off the backboard. She spent her college career branding herself as the next big thing, the face of women's basketball. From viral moments to endorsement deals, she went all in on the idea that she was the game changer. And her fan base? They backed her every step of the way, insisting that Caitlin Clark's success was nothing more than media hype. But now? The silence from those same voices is deafening. Arenas are being restructured, venues upgraded, and marketing budgets rerouted, all in Clark's direction. The reality is clear: the game didn't change for Reese. It changed because of Clark.
I'm sure this is because of Angel Reese. That's good. That's really good. Seriously, no, not at all. The Caitlin Clark effect is real.
Just imagine what it must feel like for Angel Reese, watching her own team, the Chicago Sky, ditch their regular home court for the United Center, but only when Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever come to town. They're not making that move for Reese. Nope. It's got nothing to do with her popularity, performance, or presence. This is all about Clark. That's got to sting. The Sky might as well be the undercard for the Caitlin Clark main event, playing backup in their own city every time she rolls in.
You get the point. All the Sky games are on big networks. All the Indiana Fever versus Sky games are on big networks. The Aces game, like I said, is on ESPN. The Liberty games are on big networks, the games against the Liberty. So, and there's a lot of Ion on here.
Even more awkward, the Chicago Sky's social media team is still desperately trying to push Angel Reese as the face of the franchise. They're flooding timelines with photos, highlight reels, and branded content, hoping to sell her as the main attraction. But when national broadcasters roll their promos, it's all Clark all the time. That once hyped Clark versus Reese rivalry? It's faded into the background. The networks aren't even trying to make it a storyline anymore, because they know who moves the needle. And it's not the self-proclaimed Bayou Barbie.
How many of these games, guys, one of these games is going to hit 3 million viewers this year. All right. I don't know which one. I assume you can look at the Sky and look at the Aces, those two games, and think those are the games that could, in theory, break 3 million, maybe more than that. The All-Star game, of course, did a massive rating. What is it going to end up doing this year? So it's all going to be very interesting.
Make no mistake, Angel Reese is still making money. She's still landing endorsements. She's still building a brand. But when it comes to reshaping the entire economic future of the WNBA, that crown is no longer up for debate. Caitlin Clark wears it now. The numbers are clear. The metrics don't lie. And if there was ever any doubt, the networks have made their priorities crystal clear.
I'm not even going to say she's the needle mover. She's the needle. She is the needle. And it's just madness. It's madness that there are still people going out of their way talking about, complaining about this. Like, it's an objectively good thing.
Angel Reese and AJA Wilson, this isn't just about bruised egos, it's about legacy, leverage, and long-term marketability. In professional sports, the athlete who brings in the audience gets the biggest bag. They land the top-tier endorsements, hold more influence in league decisions, and secure the kind of historical reverence that cements a name forever. Caitlin Clark isn't just a player with great stats, she's redefining what it means to be a superstar in women's basketball.
The fact that every single team that is not playing in an NBA arena has for Caitlin Clark, it genuinely just shows that the Caitlin Clark boom is not ending.
Let's be real, 41 nationally televised games for one team isn't just rare, it's unprecedented. No WNBA team in history has ever received this level of coverage. And it's not about fairness, it's about demand, and Caitlin Clark is the one creating that demand. The comparisons to Tiger Woods? Spot on. Just like Woods brought an entirely new audience to golf, Clark is doing the same for the WNBA. People who've never watched a women's basketball game in their lives are now setting calendar reminders for fever matchups. Clark isn't just a player, she's a phenomenon, a business-altering force, a walking, dribbling ratings magnet. Now here's the reality check for the rest of the league. You can either ride the wave of momentum Clark is creating, or get left behind, ranting on social media while the fever pack arenas and dominate prime time. Caitlin's rise isn't a threat to women's basketball, it's the biggest opportunity the sport has ever had, but only the smart ones will capitalize on it.